These are my 10 favourite Halo encounters in no particular order, and we're going to start off strong with the beach assault at the beginning of Halo Combat Evolved's The Silent Cartographer. There are 5 specific moments in Master Chief's maiden outing which made me realise I was playing something truly exceptional. One was laying eyes on Cortana. Just kidding, she's a monster. One was stepping out onto Installation 04 for the first time and being awestruck by its size. Another was the Flood's reveal, one of gaming's greatest horror twists, and 3 of them I'm going to touch on during this video. The first of those is the Silent Cartographer's introduction, a sequence which gets me going just as much today as it did back in 2001.
We're approaching the LZ. It's gonna be hot. Get set to cut out quick. Touchdown. Hit it, Marines. Go, go, go!
Ploughing forward into a wall of Covenant alongside a ton of Marines, who are admittedly about as useful as a chocolate teapot, while Halo's theme swells in the background, is fantastic. The music, the scale, the sheer number of enemies and allies duking it out around you at the same time, it is Bungie at their chaotic best, serving up a delicious slice of sci-fi action which never gets boring. Do not for one second think it isn't intentional chaos though. The level design during this early encounter is tremendous too, with enemies and cover used to funnel you down a narrow portion of a large space which maintains intensity while also offering scale. It's really smart work. Most also ignore its cleverest aspect, which is that you can choose to completely ignore it. That's right, if you don't fancy a seaside skirmish, you can simply turn round and F off in the opposite direction to carry on with the rest of the level. The Silent Cartographer is all about freedom, and its most famous encounter gives you that too, even if at first you might not even realise. I can already hear the boos and hisses emanating from many of you when I say Halo 4 has one of my favourite encounters, and listen, while I get the game doesn't tickle a lot of your pickles, and for the record it doesn't tickle mine much either, I am also willing to give credit where credit's due, because Halo 4's Reclaimer has a lovely little encounter towards its end. After a dirty great lore dump the likes of which had never been seen before in Halo, and will hopefully never be seen again, you step through a portal and are greeted by this wonderful scene.
Sierra 117 to infinity. What's our status?
We're taking a beating up here.
My first time through the game, I had not enjoyed it as much as I'd hoped up to this point, but for a fleeting minute or two, I began to question whether 343 Industries was about to turn things around. A Scorpion pulls up for you to hop in the midst of some vehicular carnage, with human and Covenant vehicles zooming backwards and forwards across an expansive desert environment. It's vintage Halo. The problem with Halo 4's vehicle sections prior to Reclaimer, and unfortunately after too, this section is very much a one-off, is that they never really have that awe factor. Escaping at the end of Forerunner, you have to use a Ghost. Making your way through the latter parts of Infinity, you have to use the Scorpion, and then you have to use the Mantis. I mean, you technically don't have to, but you're going to have a bad time if you don't. They all follow linear paths with little freedom of expression offered, which is exactly why Reclaimer's conclusion is such a breath of fresh air. You can use the tank, or continue on foot, or hop in a Warthog, or hijack a Covenant vehicle. The choice really is yours. It's a burst of brilliance which comes out of nowhere before 343 Industries abruptly reverts to the norm, snapping you in the face with a cream pie made of whipped mediocrity. From an excellent tank battle in the desert, we go straight into an even excellenter tank battle in the desert, because we all know there is nothing more engaging than talking about practically the same thing twice in quick succession. Halo 3's The Ark is a very special level, which packs in most of what makes the franchise so fantastic. There's a bit of sniping, there's a set piece of extraordinary scale, there are more vehicles than you can shake a dead grunt at. Whatever you want, The Ark most likely has it. One encounter stands out above them all, however, and that is the battle which proves once and for all that tank beats everything. After a brief jaunt through a Forerunner structure, you find yourself back out on the sands with a frankly absurd number of Covenant ready to turn you into goo. Many Ghosts and Wraiths lie in wait at ground level, while Wraiths ferry in reinforcements from above, but thankfully you have plenty of backup too. And so you press on, hopefully in a Scorpion and not in a Warthog driven by AI like I always attempt and then regret, to take part in one of the series' most hectic brawls. It's large-scale Halo, and I love it. Then, as if that wasn't enough, you're given the opportunity to make a Scarab look like nothing more than a minor inconvenience.
Scarab's back. This time it means business. Bravo, flank and cover. I want everybody supporting the chief. He'll take it down. Second line clear. Push forward.
Can the Scarab really be classed as part of the same encounter, given it's somewhat separate from everything else, I hear you ask? Yes, it can. Shut up. A few of you might be surprised that I've chosen this next one, as I have in the past said that I think it's a bit silly, and it is a bit silly. Now, don't get me wrong, I love almost all of Halo's music, I listen to the series soundtracks daily, but a Breaking Benjamin instrumental suddenly being thrown into the mix out of the blue during Gravemine's climax is weird. I'm sorry, it's weird, and you'll never convince me otherwise, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't enjoy it, which is what I think some people have taken from my previous comments. It's a bonkers way to end Halo 2's most important level, and I'd love to play you some of the music in question, but I can't as I will get a copyright strike. But I have come up with a workaround. I know what you're thinking. Wow, I could barely tell the difference between that and the original at all. And to that I say, cheers. Gravemine's final encounter isn't big and it isn't clever, but it is clean, dumb fun. There's nothing spectacular to talk about in terms of its design, nor are there any smart touches by Bungie that help separate it further from other encounters. Design-wise, it doesn't quite manage to blow me away, but it does make me smile, hard, and sometimes that's all you need. There are a lot of boss fights in Halo games, and 99% of them are a bit pony. The series does 1,000,001 things well, but one-on-one brawls with stronger enemies are usually about as much fun as getting a lap dance from a brute. But at the end of Pelican Down, you fight a pair of them at once, so maybe that's why this boss battle is so good.
Chief, we've got, well, a lot. See that chopper? I guess that's one of the Spartan killers. And there's the other one. Up there, in the wreckage. You need to stop them.
You will be getting no lap dances from Spartan killers Hyperius and Tavares though. The only dance you'll be involved in is one with death, as the former hunts you down on his custom chopper while the latter floats about with all the grace of a boozed up butterfly. Hyperius is even wearing some of what must surely be Halo 5 protagonist Jameson Locke's armour. We don't know yet if the brute killed him or acquired his outfit some other way, but talk about raising the stakes. Pelican Down is Infinite's best level, and the only one in the game which somewhat manages to mix traditional Halo with a more open structure, and taking on the two brutes is the cherry on the icing of this semi-open world cake. You deal with 3 anti-aircraft batteries which offer the series' familiar gameplay before you head down into the open middle section, an amazing space with its own distinct visual identity. It may be a graveyard in terms of setting, but it contains one of the freshest takes on a Halo boss battle we've ever had. Needlessly long and often repetitive. No, I'm not talking about how commenters frequently describe my videos, but rather the way many, including myself, think of Assault on the Control Room. And yes, Halo Combat Evolved's 5th mission's copy and paste indoor areas can be grating, but at the same time there is some solid gold sprinkled in between them. This part in particular is my absolute favourite of them all. It doesn't look like much nowadays, especially compared to some of the more bombastic sequences highlighted during this video, but way back when, this couple of minutes spent out on the snow blew my 13-year-old mind. For one thing, it's the complexity compared to everything experienced prior. During second level Halo, you drive a Warthog through an open area, and you do the same again during the Silent Cartographer, and both times it's pretty cool. But Assault on the Control Room's big outdoor extravaganza is on a whole different level. Like earlier with Reclaimer, it's all about that idea of there being lots of ores. You can use the turret right by the entrance to thin the herd, or you can head over to where Marines are under fire and grab a rocket launcher and sniper rifle, or you can hop in the nearby Warthog, or try and snipe Covenant out of ghosts and pilot those, or you can just charge in with an assault rifle and a pistol like a big green maniac. Back when Combat Evolved released, the scale of Installation 04 during the levels leading up to Assault on the Control Room I found scarcely believable, but to then be confronted by so much choice, so much interactivity, and so much scale, it was beyond my wildest dreams of what could be expected from a 2001 console first-person shooter. Halo is not a series which has ever had me close to weeping. Dom's death in Gears of War 3 is the only video game moment that's had me anywhere close to doing that, by the by. I was on the verge of sobbing like a baby. But man, I'd be lying if I said I didn't get a lump in my throat during Reach's Lone Wolf. Whether the mission can be classed as a singular encounter is certainly up for debate, but given your only objective is to survive and you spend its entirety fending off a constant stream of Covenant in a very small space, I'd say it is. Like Gravemind, this is a battle I love mostly due to its vibes rather than it doing anything special in gameplay terms. It's just you, a barren wasteland, and a never-ending stream of bloodthirsty aliens, as Noble 6 does his best to outlast what is for all intents and purposes an unstoppable force. So many developers would have concluded Reach at the end of previous level Pillar of Autumn, with 6 being left behind before the action cut to Dr. Halsey's monologue to round things out. But Bungie doesn't do that. Instead, we have to witness 6's last stand in all its depressing glory as he goes down fighting, having kick-started a chain of events which would ultimately be key to humanity defeating the Covenant. He dies a lone wolf in the literal sense, but having sacrificed himself to save humanity, in the end he is anything but. It is a wonderfully unexpected surprise, one which really drives home the finality of events on Reach in a manner which would have been impossible any other way. Right, Halo Combat Evolved encounter number 3, and if you hadn't already realised, which I'm sure you have by how many times Combat Evolved has appeared so far, yes, I am outrageously biased towards the original. It is one of the top 5 greatest games of all time. Climbing hills is boring. I myself try to avoid doing that and any other form of exercise wherever possible, instead subsisting on a diet of McDonald's breakfasts, long periods sitting in my underwear, and my wife threatening to leave me. Except for this hill in 2 Betrayals, which is my favourite hill. After the floods revealed during 343 Guilty Spark and the subsequent appearance of thousands of them during the library, you might think you've seen all they have to offer, but Bungie still has one more trick up their sleeves during 2 Betrayals, which features a ton of multi-faction face-offs. It's basically Assault on the Control Room but with zombies, and while that might not sound like anything exciting, adding the phrase "but with zombies" to anything definitely makes it more exciting, as does having the tune Undercover of Night playing, as it is an awesome video game ditty. You've been through the area before, but now it's dark and moody and everything's awful. It's a real exclamation mark as the campaign continues its dramatic tonal shift. It was a moment for me similar to Assault on the Control Room earlier, where I was again astounded, and continue to be astounded to this day, by Bungie managing to add another layer of complexity to the existing formula. All that previous choice in a wide open play area still existed, but there were now also multiple different types of aliens fighting it out as well, including space zombies, which is awesome. Depending on whether you think the Arc Scarab is part of the encounter which precedes it, or if Lone Wolf can be classed as a singular encounter, I've either cheated during the supposed list of 10 a little or a lot. Regardless of what you think, I'm going to completely break the rules here. This next entry on the list isn't one firefight, but rather 2, namely the Storm's battle with 1 Scarab and the Covenant's battle with 2. I know Halo 3 also features the aforementioned Scarab in the Arc as well, but that one I'm classing as a separate, less exciting thing. I think we can all admit that after the build-up, destroying a Scarab during Halo 2's Metropolis was a bit underwhelming. You just sort of jump on its back while it lazily walks in a straight line, kill a few Covenants, and that's your lot. For me, it was the biggest gaming letdown since they decided to discontinue the Barbie Horse Adventures franchise. Then Bungie went and totally redeemed themselves with the Storm. It is absolutely breathtaking, a battle which finally included a Scarab and the level of interactivity we all rightfully expected. I just love all the Marines driving between its legs in mongooses. Them being teeny tiny is such a great contrast against such a hulking machine. Then Bungie went and outdid themselves again.
I count 2 Scarabs. Repeat, 2 Scarabs.
I do have issues with the Covenant's amazing double Scarab masterstroke, namely that they barely move, but apart from that, it is mustard. And in spite of the scale of it all, it's got even more going on than during the Storm. There are Covenant on the ground, Covenant in the air, you can take to the air to take down the Scarabs, or be ferried through the air, or go in on foot. It's absolutely bonkers in the best way possible, and the grandest Halo set piece we ever have, and maybe ever will, experience. Last but definitely not least, we have my favourite Halo firefight of them all, the climax of Halo 3 ODST's NMPD HQ. OMG, so many acronyms. It's always really nice to hang out with all your mates, and that's not something you get to do all too often during ODST, especially during the game's first half, until you reach the finale of NMPD HQ, where Romeo, Buck, Dutch and Mickey join together to fend off a gigantic Covenant assault on a rooftop. Granted, the Rookie and Dare aren't present, so it isn't the full Alpha 9 squad, but you can't have everything. What I love most about this set piece is the music. It uses a slightly different variation of the track Skyline with a slight change to the guitars and a few other edits, and it's the best. It is not included on any soundtrack either, which is a real shame. You know those rooms you get before bosses in a lot of video games where for some inexplicable reason you can pick up loads of amazing items and weapons way beyond what you would normally need? You know the ones that make it obvious you're about to fight something strong in the room after? Well, the rooftop you make your stand on at the end of NMPD HQ is the Halo equivalent of that, except the battle is in the same space. There are turrets and Spartan lasers and rocket pods, many of each. There's enough ordnance to kill an entire Covenant battalion, and that is essentially what you have to do. A ridiculous number of Banshees swoop down upon you at regular intervals, while Phantoms ferry in ground troops. And yes, I know I called Phantoms Wraiths earlier during the Arc section, but I'm tired, so leave me alone. Back to the topic at hand, NMPD HQ's climax is one I genuinely revisit every few months due to how amazing it is. It's atmospheric and it makes you feel like a badass in a way you don't often during Halo 3 ODST, which says a lot about how stunningly designed it is. It's the best moment in the game and my favourite encounter in the entirety of the Halo series. And with that, we reach the end of the video. Thanks for watching, boys, girls and Spartans. If you had a jolly good time, do consider liking, subscribing and sharing your thoughts, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.